All right. So I was keeping track of what you guys said, and you're pretty evenly divided. 5 students voted for company 1, 6 students voted for company 3, 6 students voted for company 4, and 7 students voted for company 5. Not a single one of you voted for company 2, which I thought was funny. Let me pull up the companies here. Let's see if I can do this, because I think it's interesting. Now, granted, that data was from 2011. Okay, so that's a while back, but let's just pull this up. All right, because I think it's fun. All right, I'm going to share this screen, and I'm going to tell you who these companies are. Okay, here we go. All right, company 1. Can you guys see that? Company 1 is Amazon. On January 1st, 2011, its stock value was $180 per share. As of yesterday, probably more likely 12/31, its share price is $3,334 per share. So that's like almost what, 1,800% increase, 1,852%. Company 2 is Boeing. Their stock price was 65 per share. It's now 201, a 300% increase over what? What is that? From 2011 to basically 2022 is 11 years, 300% increase. Company 3 is Costco, $72 a share back then, 2011, now $567 per share, a 786% increase in 11 years. Company 4 was Microsoft, $27.91 per share, now $336.32 a share, a 1,200% increase. And company 5 was Starbucks, $32.13 per share. 11 years later, 116 per share. And I can't remember if they've had a stock split during that time, so that would impact that as well. Okay, so let's think about that. We don't really talk about stock a lot in class. And I wanted to say something else. I'm not, inside the classroom, I'm really used to students raising their hand and asking a quick question. And I really want you to feel comfortable to do that. So you can either chime in, hey, I got a question, or you can use the hand raising icon emoji to ask a question. So please don't hesitate to do that. Okay. So I want you to wrap your brains around this with Amazon. If you had bought 1 share of Amazon 11 years ago for $180 a share, I don't even think they were profitable in 2011. That share would be worth $334. So that's a huge increase, but it is over 11 years. Okay. So we want to take that increase and we want to say, what is it on average per year? Okay. So it's still a lot. It's about 168% increase per year. Okay. Let's see if I can copy that. So let's do that the same. Let's do it for Boeing, about 28% a year. Let's do it for Costco, about 71% a year. That's amazing. So think about that. Wrap your brain around that. Because what that means is you took your money and you put it in your bank account, and maybe you got 1% growth from interest. But if you'd bought stock, you would have had, for Costco, you would have made 71 cents on the dollar, basically, on your investment. Now, I don't want you to run out and buy stock right now. I just want you to think about it. I really don't want you to go out and buy Bitcoin. Can I just say that? I know a lot of you are real excited about Bitcoin. I've talked to family members who are excited about Bitcoin, but don't go into that quite yet, if you're willing to take my advice on that. Okay, there's a lot of rules about investing, and the general rule of thumb is if you put money in the stock market, be prepared not to spend it for 5 years. Okay, if you can afford to do that, then you can invest in the stock market. All right, but for right now, it's just kind of fun to see what those companies are. And so I'm more interested in your writing samples than I am in deciding which company is the winner. So I'm gonna, because you obviously were pretty evenly split, except not a single one of you voted for Boeing that in my quick scan of the chat. Does anybody want to make an argument as to why Boeing is the best company? You're welcome to, but they've had kind of a rough ride, and back then you wouldn't have known it because they had the 787 coming out and all of that, but they've surely had a bad run of luck in this time. Okay, all right, so we'll just shut that down. So thank you for your writing samples. I want to look at them in more detail, and I'm going to go back to this. Shut this down. Okay. All right, we're going to skip this. I want to go into Accounting 201, some review areas. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you take another picture of some journal entry prompts, and then I'm going to put you in breakout rooms to answer some of the to do some journal entries. All right, so things to review from Accounting 201. What do accountants do? That's chapters 1 and 2. What are the 4 accounting statements? What's an accounting transaction? And that we talked a lot about what are transactions. You know, is it an economic exchange? Because if it could be an event, it could be a business event, like I hired an employee, but until there's an economic exchange, you would not make a journal entry. You would not record something. So hiring an employee to work starting next week is an event, but it's not an economic exchange. After the employee has worked a week and we now owe them salary, now you would have to do a journal entry, debit salary expense, credit salaries payable. Okay. So chapter 2 and 3 are a great source for journal entries, T accounts, and the trial balance. And then we do the 4, we actually in Accounting 201, we just did 3 statements. And we did on the top of every statement, you want 3 title lines: company name, name of the statement, income statement, retained earnings or balance sheet, and date of the statement, the date of the information. Okay. Categories of accounts: assets, liabilities, stockholders' equity, revenue, expense, dividends, and then the subcategories: current assets, long-term investments, long-term property, plant, and equipment, and so forth. Okay. So what are sample accounts? So in your syllabus document, I'd like a little cheat sheet page with all the accounts that we've learned so far and the categories they're in, and then the normal balance. And your textbook has those too. So learning about adjusting journal entries, closing journal entries, and then in chapter 5, we stopped working with service companies and we started working with companies that sold inventory. So purchasing transactions, booking sale of inventory, and as I think it was Ronnie, you said, the perpetual versus periodic. Okay. Different inventory methods. And we wrapped up Accounting 201 with FIFO, LIFO, average costs, and then in chapter 6, and concepts of internal control and cash management and bank reconciliation in chapter 7. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you a second to do this. I'm going to give you a picture of, take a picture of this slide. Actually, we only have 5 groups. I'm going to have to make that. Let me change this one. Hang on. There is no group 5. There is just group 1. I've made 5 breakout. Hang on, guys. Let me get rid of this. We're going to do some practice problems in breakout rooms. Okay, so I've divided you up into 5 groups. Actually, you'll divide yourselves up. And I'm going to give you a list of journal entry questions. And then your job is to come up with the journal entry. Okay, so we'll look at that in just a second. Okay, so let's go look at the actual transactions. So if you're in group 2, you'll do number 2. If you're in group 3, you'll do number 3. So if you want to take a quick picture of this, and I'll also put it into the chat. So you'll have like 5 minutes in your breakout room to come up with your answer, and do as many as you can, but you want to report out on the assignment you're assigned. So I'll put this in the chat. Okay. Okay. So we'll come back to that. All right. So now I'm going to bring up the problem. Syllabus, where are you? There you are. Okay. Okay. So here is your syllabus document. It's pretty long. So here's all the stuff that was on the screen that we went over before. And then here's a list of accounts. Here's what I was talking about. I've given you a list of common accounts, and you can print that out and just kind of have it as a cheat sheet. And it's all different types of accounts, their normal balance, what statement they're on, and types of accounts. Okay. Here's some information on Wiley Plus. Go back. Here's some information on Wiley Plus if you don't know how to do it. And then I'm giving you the first pages of the course pack for chapter 8. But before we do that, we're going to do a little accounting review. Okay. And we're going to do a short one right now, and then you're going to work on a longer one with the Cornelia window washing. Okay. So I want you to forget these questions up here. Just focus on questions 1 through 8. Okay. So take a picture of this. Okay. All right. Anybody need more time? Take a picture of these questions, because I can't leave them on the screen once you go into the breakout rooms. You won't see them. If you need more time, raise your hand. Okay. All right. So let's go see the first question. I'm going to do the first question with you, and then you guys are going to do it in your groups. All right. Stockholders invest $35,000 in cash, starting a consulting firm office operation as a corporation. Okay. So always when we approach accounting problems, your first question should be, what type of company is this? And it's a consulting firm. So they don't have inventory. So when you think of revenue for a company, it's always going to be service revenue if it's consulting firm. And knowing what type of company it is will help you with all the rest of the journal entries as well. So let's go back to my PowerPoints, and I'll give you this example. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to do number 1 with you. So here we go. Stockholders invest $35,000 in the business. Okay. Your job in your teams, and I just take out a piece of paper and I'd write number 1 here, is to come up with a journal entry. So anybody want to throw that journal entry in the chat for everybody to see? Feel free. What's the answer to this journal entry? Stockholders invest $35,000. So remember, we're doing the journal entry from the point of view of the company. So the consulting firm received $35,000. What's the journal entry for this? Correct. Peter, what's the other half of that journal entry? That first part is correct. Katya, you're correct. You got it. Debit cash. What's the credit? Credit common stock. Great. Okay, so you guys know what you're doing. All right. So that's the first one. Okay. So now we're going to have you guys go back and do the rest of these. Okay. So I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. Does anybody need to take a picture of the transactions? Okay, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm opening all the rooms. You can go to any room you like, I think. Might be automatic, but I think it's okay. Can you guys pick your rooms or no?
Not yet.
No.
Oh.